Your old family office is vulnerable, but a DAO can protect and supercharge it. DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and the name says what it does. It creates an organization not beholden to a specific jurisdiction, not beholden to a specific location, that can operate by computer code, by algorithm, by heuristic. DAOs are a new species of organization. They are now becoming the next version of entity for housing family offices. In this video, I'll cover where DAOs come from and why the old offshore setups have been obsoleted, what a traditional family office is actually made of, and the SEC and tax constraints that shape family offices, what a DAO adds when you wrap it around the traditional family office structure, automation, blockchain tokenization, audit-ready records, allocation records, and how that protects you from advisory committee actions that would otherwise claw your family office back into taxable estates or blow up GST exemption. Plus an example, tokenizing access rights to a family asset, a ranch, a yacht slip, or perhaps private jet. DAOs are a way of ensuring that you have rule-based heuristics for your family office and the potential for automation of family office functions. It's a new form of organization distributed on data servers and operating by automations. A quick word on history. DAOs, initially, were kind of a Wild West. People were setting them up in all kinds of ways and not registering them. They were setting them up in multiple jurisdictions in order to avoid potential tax issues from issuing new DAO tokens, but it wasn't clear whether issuing tokens for a DAO would actually cause these income tax recognitions at the time that the IRS was still making rules. So the people forming DAOs was simply setting them up in different locations. Often the British Virgin Islands, sometimes Grand Cayman. I've seen many jurisdictions around the globe. Often they'll be paired with an American counterpart, maybe a Delaware development company. That's a pretty common recipe to have a multi-jurisdictional DAO organized around the globe. But this recipe has really become obsoleted. Now we're setting up DAOs, often for US-based residents, using US-based jurisdictions, building DAOs so that they can implement the family's constitution, carry out that family's purpose, and automate many of the functions of that office, perpetuate intergenerationally, and make the family office more efficient and more protected. And family offices, they're really about allocating resources, allocating income, making decisions on distributions, making decisions on authority for management of assets, and taking operational control over assets. A DAO supercharges what a family office can do. A DAO creates a smart contract-based family management protocol that runs on the rails of the blockchain. That's why I call DAOs Family Office 2.0. Let me back you up and tell you what a traditional family office actually is. For family office professionals, there's a common saying, if you've seen one family office, you've seen one family office. And while that's true, it's not entirely true. There are some common anatomical parts of a family office. Typically, they're comprised of a purpose trust, which has a fully owned subsidiary for management of the companies. Usually the management entity is a corporation, and the management entity might provide management services only for active trades and businesses in the family. We've got to make sure that it's only serving family interests because of SEC Rule 202. Additionally, we've got to make sure that it's only serving family business interests, not family yachts and personal assets, in order to get Section 162 active trade or business treatment for tax deduction. The management entity needs to stick with family businesses that are in active trade or businesses. The second subsidiary anatomical structure in a family office is usually a beneficiary services or distribution advisory side. Those two components, distributions and management, are most often the subsidiaries held inside of a family office purpose trust. And the purpose trust owns those entities, which in turn, through inter-entity agreements, contract with other family businesses or trusts to provide those management and distribution services. And family office do this because the business of running life grows, balloons, and expands to be too much for only one person. That's the role of the family office, to run your family businesses, to run your family assets, to maintain your family's constitution and drive forward your family's purpose. And when you're running a family office, we have to think about who gets to use assets, who's managing them. We have to think about that management information and the controls that need to be in place. Who has authorizations? Without that fundamental family office structure, we can run into major tax problems and even beneficiary challenges. Now, here's what changes when you go DAO-based with your family office. You take that basic family office structure and move it into an environment that's fine-tuned for automation and information tracking, fine-tuned for smart contracts to auto-execute based on heuristics, based on algorithms, some of those functions that your family needs for management and allocation of resources. Many of what would have been a burgeoning and expanding family office function, many of those functions can be put onto automation rails and more quickly turned around. And this is key. With blockchain tokenization, you get cryptographic security and authentication. So those records are available in order to have clear reporting to the family so that they know what's going on. Clarity always precedes trust, and DAOs are a way of creating immutable records of the family office's management and distribution functions. This matters because we get challenged in this often in family office environments. We might get challenged by an outside party whether the deductions are Section 162 qualified active trader businesses by the IRS. They might want to know whether under IRS code the family office management activities are deductible. They might want to know whether the actions of an advisory committee crossed a line, and to ensure that those actions don't somehow claw the assets of the family office back into a taxable status or somehow deny deductions or maybe even terminate a GST exemption. Good reporting and clear protocols, rails and safeguards are essential. So a DAO is really about the ability to document, ability to automate, and the ability to protect by setting up guardrails. Those are some of the key benefits. I'll give you a real example. One of the projects I'm working on right now, it involves shared assets, family, ranches, vacation properties, and to make sure we have fair allocation of those properties among the beneficiaries. So what do? Well, you can tokenize people's access rights, the family's access rights. You can have trackable tokenization. You can give the family members credentials and tokens, and thereby allocate those assets fairly and prove the use and show how those are being utilized in different contexts. I've written about this topic in articles with peer-reviewed publications like Tax Notes and other large publications like Reuters and Bloomberg. Some of these functionalities for tokenization are very, very important and provide a lot of protection and security. You can use DAOs for administering sailboats, yachts, private jets. Anything that requires allocation and management and guardrails for its use can be managed either by the management entity if it's an active trader business, or perhaps with beneficiary services if we need to make sure that the asset is allocated among the family members. When you put a family office into an environment where autonomous algorithms function as your business rules, you can much more effectively protect against flunking out of tax statuses. You can protect against authorizations beyond the boundaries we should. You can protect against one place, one jurisdiction with one nexus to attack. A DAO gives your family the ability to change your family office jurisdiction as your family evolves and shift things toward a better place. At the end of the day, every piece of this exists to get what you've built into the right environment. That is why we set up family office environments. And a DAO as a foundation for this is much more effective than the older family office structures, which eventually will be seen as Family Office 1.0. Decentralized autonomous organizations are a new approach to family office structuring.